Most business owners think delegation just means hiring people and writing better SOPs. But the truth is, if you're still working 10 plus hours a day, delegation isn't your problem. Ownership is. What I'm about to show you has helped client after client be able to finally take vacation, cut down on their daily work hours, and generate more profit than ever. And the best part? You don't need more employees. You just need employees who think like owners. I'm Abby Johnson, and I've helped business owners in over 40 different industries finally increase their profits while working less in the business. So there's a reason why most business owners dread delegation or hiring, and that's because usually when someone new is hired, first of all, the hiring process is painful in and of itself. Then once you have this person, you have to take the time to train them. Then you feel like you have to hover over them and make sure they're doing it correctly and up to your standards. And then when you finally do feel like you can step away, they're constantly coming at you with questions and asking your permission and approval on every single little thing. So this makes it feel like once you hire people, you are actually losing more time rather than gaining it. This just means you're delegating the wrong way, honestly. So let's take a look at our 4 pillars of business basics. So every business needs to sell their product or service. Then they're going to deliver that product or service. Then they need to get new customers to sell and deliver to. And this is a cycle that's always happening. And then up here at the top, our 4th pillar is management, and that's what keeps this all together. So we've all heard that term of working in the business instead of on the business. And what that means actually is if you're working in the business, you're still down here in this cycle. You aren't up here at management where you should be. So you want to go from working in the business to on the business. If you're hiring people for these different pillars and not properly delegating, then you're never going to get out of this cycle. You're constantly going to be stuck in those 3 pillars. Most business owners are stuck and can't go on vacation because one of these pillars is still dependent on them. They can't step away because for some reason it is still tied to them. The full responsibility of this one area all comes back on the owner. So that's what we need to do in properly delegating is how do we give this full responsibility to another person? So this all starts back at the hiring process. Now, a lot of times you did not become a business owner because you're an expert in hiring, right? You're an expert in what it is you do, your product or service. So I don't expect you to be a hiring expert, but you're going to have to become one to hire the right people. And a common mistake is people are looking strictly at a resume. Do you have the qualifications? Do you have an experience in this area? And while that is valuable, a lot of areas in your business can actually be trained. It really frustrates me when I see a job description from someone and it says 5 years experience in bookkeeping, let's say. I have a friend who started his own bookkeeping firm and he's only been doing bookkeeping for about, I think, 2 years now, maybe. And he's actually the best bookkeeper I've ever worked with. So time doesn't have anything to do with someone's ability to do a job. So stop putting arbitrary time requirements on someone's experience. And as I said, sometimes they don't even need experience at all. What you really need is willingness to learn, willingness to grow, and willingness to put in the work. You also need a good attitude. So you might have someone who's super willing and a hard worker, but is causing problems within your business because they're a crappy person. So I look more for the willingness factor and the attitude factor over experience. Experience can be trained. You can mold someone to do something how you want it done and to your standards, but finding someone with the willingness and with the right attitude is a lot harder. One of the ways I do this is in the job description for this position is be specific about the red flags of this position. Make it sound awful to some because it will sound awful to some and it will turn them away. It will turn down the low productivity, the non-workers, the people just looking to clock in and clock out. And what you'll do is actually attract the people who think those red flags are green flags. So, for example, let's say you have a finance bookkeeping position. You could say you will be in an office all day long by yourself. This is an individual based position. You will be working on your own. This is all computer work, etc., etc. For some people, that sounds like a death sentence. They don't want to work in an office in a closed room. For other people, they're like, oh, good, I don't have to talk to people. I can just be left alone to do my work. On the other hand, I have seen the opposite of this, where someone was in a very fast-paced position and they couldn't keep up, and they were actually slowing down the whole business because they weren't right for that position. So what should have been done is in the job description, in the ad, it should say, this is a fast-paced position. You will be on your feet for 8 hours a day. You have to be on the ball going from room to room. This was in a medical clinic. Constantly, you're going to be patient facing. Say all these things because for some people, they'll know, ooh, I don't want fast paced. I don't like fast paced. There are other people, though, who are like, oh, good. I need to stay busy. I want something fast paced. So put those things in the job description that may look like a red flag for some, but are a green flag for your ideal candidate. This is how you ensure they have the right attitude and viewpoint and willingness rather than just the experience you're looking for. All right, so now that we've hired a great person with willingness and attitude, we need to make sure that we are delegating properly. This starts with making sure that you are delegating the right tasks to this person. So if you're in the position where you're the business owner or CEO, but you're still down in these 3 pillars mess here on my illustration, then you've got to make sure that you are delegating tasks and getting them off your plate correctly. What I like to do is you can do this with a piece of paper, split it into 4 squares: sales, delivery, marketing, management. And what I want you to do is just list the tasks that you are still doing in these different areas, right? What can happen is you've probably heard the advice to offload the tasks that you either aren't good at, the low value tasks, or things that you don't have fun doing. And that is valid. You can definitely keep that in mind when you're doing this exercise. But a problem that I see people make is they hire Susan, right? And she is supposed to be in marketing. But you also have these other tasks you don't want to do. You don't like picking up the phone. You don't like sending client invoices. You don't like project management and scheduling them. So now Susan, instead of just being in marketing, she's got to do a little bit of delivery. She's got to do a little bit of sales. She's got to do a little bit of management. And now she is spread thin, just as spread thin as you are, and is of no good use to you. So what you really want to think about when you hire someone is specializing them in one of these pillars as much as possible. Now, yes, sometimes you might have an executive assistant who's helping you a little bit in all of the pillars, or it's your first hire or your first administrative hire and they have to help you a little bit in all of the pillars. But I want you to think about hiring a specialized person who is good in that specific area. Someone might be really great at doing finance and numbers and admin, but they're terrible at talking to people. So they shouldn't be doing these administrative tasks while also having to do a sales task like following up on a proposal or an estimate. So think about the person you're hiring and specializing them in one specific area of the business. So if you hired Susan for marketing, look at your marketing tasks. What can you let go of? Are you still doing copywriting you don't need to be doing? Are you still designing your social media posts? She can do that. Maybe you just have final say on everything, but look at one specific area and how you can offload that so that it makes sense for the person who's actually going to be doing it. All right, if you're thinking, this all sounds great, but how do I actually do this in my business? We are here to help you with that. My team and I work directly with business owners every day to help implement this exact framework. This is exactly how I helped Andrea increase her profit by 25% in just one call with me. And I even helped Dr. Moulet add 46% in revenue over just a few months of working together. This framework works. If you want our help, there's a link in the description to get started. Okay, so there are really 3 steps in order to truly successfully delegate. The first thing you need to do is you need to delegate the outcome and the responsibility, not just the tasks. So, for example, you hire Susan for marketing. Yes, you can say you're doing social media campaign stuff, you're making social media posts, you're coordinating with our marketing agency, you're doing our content calendar, et cetera, et cetera. Yes, these are the exact tasks. This is what she's doing. But you also have to be clear what your expected outcome is. So, the outcome for your position is that I want new leads to come into the business. If you just say, yeah, you post on our social media account, she could post whatever she wanted. She can post about her coffee mug of the day or a puppy in the office, which is really cute, or whatever it is. But if she understands that her outcome and what she's responsible for is new leads in the door, then she's thinking with that when she's doing her position and when she's creating social media posts and when she's talking to the agency. It's not just, oh, my job is to do these tasks and I did my tasks. No, your job is to get a result from the tasks. The next step of delegating is making sure that you do have the tasks recorded properly in some sort of training manual or something like that. I love video for this, especially since we are in a computer day and age where a lot of stuff is on the computer. You can literally just open Zoom and record yourself doing something on the computer and explaining your process behind that. There are different AI tools now who will watch your process and create an SOP for you. So, yes, you do have to have the tasks written out and those expectations set of, hey, this is how you do this in order to get that outcome that I want you to get. And I also love in this step of the process to describe the thought process behind it. So, yes, you're doing steps. I open Canva, I make a social media post. This is where our logo is, et cetera, but you can also put your thought process. So, I always use a blue background because that's our brand color and it looks good on our grid. And I always make sure to put one call to action in every post, and that helps us get more leads because in the past, I wasn't putting call to actions and we got no leads from our posts. Give the information as to the why behind the tasks, and then document this so that they can refer back to this at any time instead of just coming to you when they forget or make a mistake. And then finally, the next is to have some sort of check-in system or some sort of accountability factor so that you aren't a helicopter boss just constantly micromanaging and hovering to see if someone did their job. You do this through weekly check-ins and monitoring their statistics, KPIs, whatever you want to call it. So every person should have a metric, and this does not mean you're just turning the person into a number, but this is simply so that you can see, are they achieving the outcome that you set up for them at the beginning? Then you can either have one-on-one check-ins if you're their direct boss, or you can have check-ins with the managers, whatever it may be, to check in with the person, get progress updates, give them help when it's needed, etc. So again, these metrics are really important to see if the person is actually getting the outcome expected from their job. So for Susan, our marketing hire, her metric or her responsibility is number of leads. Now you can have different smaller metrics under this, the things that lead to getting that end result. So how many posts, Facebook ad metrics, all of that little tiny marketing details. But at the end of the day, leads is what matters. Is she bringing in leads or not? That is what matters. So you need to monitor this for every position in your business to see if someone's actually doing their job. They could say they're doing it, they could look like they're doing a good job, but if you don't see it in the numbers, then it's not true. So if you're ready to stop being the bottleneck in your business, book a call with my team in the link down in the description below. We've helped business owners in over 40 different industries add 50 to 500K in profit, all while working less in their business. Click the first link in the description below to book your free profit assessment, and we'll show you exactly how this system would work in your business.